Being hyped for a game is pretty natural for a gamer. There's always that one release that you are eagerly anticipating. Is it a brand new entry in your favourite franchise? Is it a game you kickstarted over half a decade ago and now are waiting to see what has become of it? Or a new IP of a studio you have the utmost faith in and have delivered banger after banger, you just know whatever they're going to make is going to be incredible. I have experience with all three of these. But for me, there was one game I was looking forward to. One game more than any other game. The game had been 6 years in the making, and most of us had been waiting even longer than that. The wait was hard, especially since we were getting very little information about it while waiting for it. But on the 25th of January 2019, and the 29th if you're a European like me, we finally received the long-awaited Kingdom Hearts 3. I can't express to you how excited I was for the game. My whole life revolved around the press release, watching every trailer multiple times, just devouring every little scrap of information that was out there, just to try and alleviate some of the excitement I had for the game. So to say, Kingdom Hearts 3 did not meet my expectations, and I felt quite disappointed with my first playthrough. That broke me, and made me realise the dangers of being hyped for a game. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy Kingdom Hearts 3 as a product. Now I think the game is fantastic, the game itself is beautiful, and as the Disney worlds are a sight to behold, and the combat, even at times a bit brain dead easy, even on Proud, was a lot of fun, and the story just felt like a nice conclusion to a 20-year saga. But it just wasn't what I wanted it to be. The game didn't do anything wrong, but the unreal expectations that I placed on the game before it was released meant it was never going to reach those heights that I had in my head. And I know I'm not the only one that feels like this. If you scour through YouTube, you'll see plenty of videos on why Kingdom Hearts 3 for a lot of people was a massive disappointment, as it was just not what they wanted it to be. Mostly due to hype and believing that the game was something that it never could have been. But there was a game that was released a few days before Kingdom Hearts 3 that proved to me that there is a problem with overhyping games. As a game I had absolutely no hype for came out and blew me away, and that was the release of the Resident Evil 2 remake. I had never even played a Resident Evil game before the release of the RE2 remake, and the game just completely blew me away in how much I enjoyed it. And it made me a fan of the series going forward, playing every entry the day that they released. So what was it about the game that I liked so much, other than the fact the game is absolutely fantastic and probably one of the best survival horror games I have ever played? I truly believe it's because of the way I knew next to nothing about it before it came out. I never saw trailers, never saw previews, or even the reviews. I just wanted a scary game to play with my friends on a Friday night. I went in, bought the game, and had an absolute blast. And to this day, I prefer the game to Kingdom Hearts 3, a game that was supposed to be the best game I'll ever play in my head while waiting for the game to release. And in the end, it became a major disappointment. To reiterate again, for all the Kingdom Hearts 3 fanboys out there, I still love the game, but it's not the game I wanted it to be. But one game I think universally backs up my point is the little indie game that flew under everyone's radar in 2017 when it released. Now is known as one of the most beloved indie games to ever release and has a very good argument as being one of the best Metroidvanias of all time. And of course, I'm talking about Hollow Knight. It might seem crazy to say now, but when it first released, Hollow Knight was dropped into the world and the general gaming populace just didn't care or know about it. Yet, the game reviewed well amongst critics, but the game sales didn't really reflect the love in which people have for the game today. So why is it that one of the most celebrated games of the past decade went completely unnoticed upon release? Well, I think the biggest reason why was because of the release date. The release date was the 24th of February 2017, a fairly normal date to release a game, but then you see what was coming out not even a week later. Yeah, that's why nobody even noticed or cared about Hollow Knight's release. Everyone was too busy spending hundreds of hours in arguably the most revered game of the past decade, including myself. So why is it, with this going against Hollow Knight, did it end up where it is today? Well, because of it going so unbelievably under the radar, word of mouth started to spread, and when the game released on the Switch in June of 2018, its popularity exploded, and went from just 1 million copies sold in June of 2018 to a massive 2.9 million in February 2019. This game, which most people had never even heard of, was blowing people away and soon entered the subject of being one of the best indie games to ever release. Even people I worked with, who didn't even know what an indie game was, were telling me about this great game that they'd been playing and how I should check it out. And so I did. And yeah, my feelings about the game became pretty evident. Now, I truly believe that the reason the game has become what it is today is because the game was never caught up in what we call game hype. People weren't dissecting every trailer. It didn't have people begging for even a scrap of information. It was left just as a complete surprise for everyone to enjoy the masterpiece that Team Cherry had created. Unfortunately for Team Cherry, they simply don't have the luxury this time. To say Silksong is highly anticipated is putting it ever so mildly. Hollow Knight fans have been waiting for 5 years, and the hype for the game is at an all-time high. Now, I do believe Team Cherry will deliver, but will the game hit as hard as the first one did and leave the same impact that with all the hype and anticipation it has around it? I'm not so sure myself. Of course, there's always the games that go through the game hype and end up meeting or exceeding people's expectations, but I think that's rather rare. The only example I can think of in recent time is a small, obscure little title going by the name Elden Ring. Don't know if you've heard of it. It belongs to a relatively niche Souls genre, only sold over 20 million copies, but I truly believe to be an exception to the rule. Elden Ring is a genre-defining game of the generation, made by From Software, and I mean, come on, they're wizards. It's not actually fair to compare their work to other developers. They are completely on a different level, with Master Miyazaki in their corner. So what's my point? Should you stop being excited for upcoming games you're hyped for, and be pessimistic about all trailers you see for cool looking games? Boo! Rebirth is gonna stink. Wow. Silent Hill 2 remake is gonna suck. Metal Gear 3 remake? Who even asked for you? Please, Konami, don't mess these up, please. No, of course not. Being excited for games is great. Having something to look forward to break up the monotony of everyday life is very reassuring for a lot of people. And do you think I'm ever going to stop being excited for a new game release? Of course not. Just at the top of my head, there's Kingdom Hearts 4, Hollow Knight Silksong, Shadows of the Erdtree, or whenever the next Zelda game comes out, and Ueda's new game, and you see my point. Gaming is a hobby that brings me the most joy in my life, and probably many of you it's the same. So be excited, get hyped. Just don't pit these games into unreal expectations that they won't be able to meet. Please, even if you remotely liked anything about this video, please consider leaving a like or subscribing. As you can tell, this is my first foray into video making, so I know I'm not the best, so any constructive criticism would be appreciated. Thank you, and I hope I'll see you again.